Welcome back to Terp Trends. Today, we're diving into the people, stories, and innovation shaping the cannabis industry. We're joined with our guest, Matha Figaro, founder of ButACake, a minority, women-owned cannabis edible company that started in 2015 in Jersey City, New Jersey. What began as a grassroots baking business has grown into a legal cannabis brand, launching in Delaware 2023 and then in New Jersey also in 2023. Matha brings a background as a trained pastry chef, combining real culinary craftsmanship with cannabis to create edibles that blend indulgence and innovation. She's also the founder of CannPowerment, a minority, women-owned, Class II licensed cannabis manufacturer in New Jersey, which produces ButACake and helps bring her vision to the legal market. From grassroots beginnings to building a licensed cannabis company, Matha's journey is all about entrepreneurship, resilience, and pushing the edible space forward. This is a great episode, and I hope you all enjoy. This is Terp Trends. Let's dive in. I'm glad I've been hearing about your name. You know, I've been shopping more in the Jersey stores, and I grew up always making snickerdoodles. That was my main edible that I always made, right? And then when I saw and I'm used to the Colorado market, that's where I originally came from. So when I saw like a baked cookie or like a snickerdoodle again, I was just like, yo, what's up with these? And then I learned at this point in cannabis, I like to learn about the people behind the brands to learn more like what am I supporting? Because there's so many brands out there. And the power in cannabis is the community behind it. But with that, you gotta support the right people. Because it's very competitive in this space. It is crazy, especially in New Jersey. So when I enjoy a company, I like to dig into their background to figure out like, yeah, they make good products, but is this where my money is well spent? Like, is it going towards people? And the more I learned about ButACake and the homegrown behind it, I was like, all right, this is cool. And me, I love just learning about people's journey in this space. And I think the reason why I created this podcast is to create relatability and insight. And I like educating non-consumers and making them come over to our side, you know, and giving them more of a relatability. And I just love people. I think we're all really cool. So that was the whole idea of creating this podcast is providing more insight into our daily lives as cannabis professionals and showing people like we're just as human as you. This is just a normal space. We just have some other stigmas around it, but that doesn't disqualify anything that we are doing. Because I think there's still a taboo, right? And it discredits a lot of people from the hard work they're putting in. And this kind of, I think, lets an average folk person be like, oh shit, that's intense. Like that deserves more respect than what I originally would have had for them because I heard the word weed. So that's all. So I really appreciate taking the time out of your day to be a guest on here and just talk a little bit about your journey because it's pretty dope, you know?
The journey.
Yeah.
Wow, it's been long. Um,
Yes.
I'm born and raised in Jersey. I'm 36 years old now, so I love the state, been here for a while. And I always had an affinity for baking and food and hospitality. My parents are from Haiti, and so culturally, all of our best moments happen in the kitchen and at the table. You know, every year we celebrate January 1st for us is our Independence Day, not just New Year's. And so that entire holiday is surrounded by food and it's always so exciting. And so growing up that way, it's no surprise that I turned out to be a pastry chef. Um, and I graduated culinary school in 2011, the Cordon Bleu Pittsburgh. Then I went on to just work in fine dining, like steakhouses, really, really top of the line restaurants, because I wanted to sharpen my craft and I wanted to work with the most skilled professionals in the game. And at that time, you know, the most skilled professional wasn't working at Applebee's. So I knew where I needed to go. And I had all that experience and it was amazing. But unfortunately, I became burnt out from the restaurant industry. I suffered a serious back injury. I have 3 herniated discs now. Yeah, so
Yeah, so standing and just laboring like that,
it's a
especially
lot.
pastries and desserts, like that dessert line never
No,
stops, man.
never. The little 2 ounce brownie that most people get to enjoy, we sling hundreds of pounds of flour and sugar all day long. Cocoa powder is heavier than most people realize. And so to do that on a regular basis over and over and over again definitely takes a toll on the body. So I was like, I'm gonna go work for Whole Foods because at that time too, Whole Foods was brand new and it was booming and it was wellness and we treat our employees great. So I went and I drank the Kool-Aid and then I found out the hard way that that necessarily wasn't so true. And I decided at that moment I was never going to work for anybody again. It took me time. So when I left Whole Foods, it was February of 2014. And then by the time I started ButACake, it was, I don't know, April, May 2015. And I legally registered ButACake as a business in April of 2016. And I was just doing baked goods, nothing to do with cannabis until a woman that enjoyed my butter cakes was like, yo, my son said you need to put some weed in these because I'm dealing with chemo. It's too much. Please help me, help me, help me. They don't sell edibles here in New Jersey. It was just a medical market. We had no gummies. It was soft lozenges, so she had no options. She had to go to the streets to get what she needed to
Whoa.
get, and I was happy
Yeah,
to provide
yeah.
it.
Now, before your journey into producing cannabis, did you have any, was it like around in your upbringing at all? Did you consume at all? Like, what was your take on cannabis before producing a cannabis company?
Uh, no, I grew up in the
Yeah.
church, in the
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
choir.
yeah. No, you
Yeah,
can do whatever you want.
all of that
You can say
shit.
whatever,
Oops, right
Say
after. Sorry.
I grew up Catholic,
Okay.
so I went to Catholic school until a certain age and I went to
Yeah.
public school. I completely get it, but why I like to do that is because it's nice to highlight that
Hmm.
some people may have not already been in this space before, but they had an experience that then drove them to pursue something in this space. And
Mine was
yeah,
like so separated because when I injured my back and I was on opioids and I had to do like steroid shots and they were putting me under
yeah,
and the needles were this long, it was insane. And my cousin comes over and he's like, "Yo, get off all of that, smoke this weed." And I was like, "No way, absolutely not."
yeah. Still turned off to it, huh?
No, I do
Yeah.
now. Oh,
No, no, but saying at that moment, even going through like the pain and everything. Yeah.
yeah, because
Interesting.
back then we all thought you just take the pills the doctor gives you, but my cousin knew
100%.
something.
Yeah.
And so eventually, when I was able to finally get off the couch, we'd sneak outside of the house and I felt better. And then I also started getting into yoga. And then in the yoga community, I started connecting with people that were also using cannabis to like really put themselves back together. So that's when my personal
Yeah.
journey with it started. And that was like, I don't know, 2012, 13, 14, something like that. It was pretty early on. And until ButACake and that woman said, "I need you," I had no idea I was ever going to make a cannabis business or an edible or any. It wasn't an idea, a thought, a process, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy how life just kind of throws some signs your way and then you start digging in if you're able to listen to it. So what what was that feeling like when you have her? Because were you close to her? Like, was this a friend's mom or anything like that? Or just like a
She was the
customer?
lady that came to the farmer's market every Sunday when I was just trying to sell some cakes.
What was that? How did that feel being approached like that and then putting that into consideration, like wrapping your head around it and everything like that? Because it's kind of a lot to be like, okay, like,
It
whoa,
is a
all
lot.
right.
And she had to ask me several times. It's not like she just approached me once and I was like, yeah, no. But the first probably 7 times she asked me, I was like, I don't think it's for me. I'm not comfortable. I don't know this. I don't know that. Like, I just kept putting so many limitations in front of me. But every time I did, she was like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And then eventually I was like, yo, I'm going to give you what you want. And I did. And I
Nice.
definitely overdosed her the
Yeah,
first few
yeah.
times. You know,
But I'm sure she wasn't too upset about it.
no, not at all. She was
No.
the perfect person to practice on and to learn from. And then that is when I realized, as a chef, the power of the ingredient called cannabis. And then once that clicked in my brain, I could never turn back. I actually don't physically enjoy making baked goods that don't have cannabis in them.
Really? So you don't like
Yeah.
go home and just make something, you know? Yeah.
No, no, because a plain ass baked good, it doesn't help anybody. You get diabetes, all the
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. No, but the cannabis aspect of it, that's how I am with chocolate. I'm not the biggest fan of chocolate, but if it's a can of chocolate, I'm like justifying it. I'm like, all right, dope.
Yeah,
You know, I'll
yeah.
take this down.
Now it
Yeah.
makes more
So
sense.
scaling
Hmm.
from non-cannabis pastries to then learning probably new recipes, right, to incorporate cannabis and then have to deal with like regulations and all of that. What was that like in Jersey, having to in the early days?
So from 2016 to 2021, there was no such thing as a regulation. I was 100% self-taught cannabis manufacturer, essentially, right? Like I read lots of books. I started going to underground markets and meeting legacy players and legacy growers, home growers. They were teaching me about the strains. I was learning about all kinds of cool stuff. And to be quite honest with you, back in those days, nobody was talking about terps. Like that's not how we really talked about the plant. It was like, oh, you smoke this, it's gonna make you feel like that. Oh, you smell this, it could make you feel like that. And that's how like the conversations were happening. So for me, my experience, it translated as like how most people go buy produce. And so that's what my early years were. And I just really wanted to showcase what all of these cool cultivators were doing, but through food and teaching people about how it all works. So that was the beginning of ButACake. I always had a medicinal aspect. I always had like a how can I help you by doing this aspect was the driving force. And then in 2021, New Jersey opened up the opportunity for me to sign up and go legal, but I didn't know what that looked like because everybody was like, "Oh, open up a dispensary and turn it into a bake shop." And I was like, "No, I don't want to do any of those things. I just want to make the stuff." That's it. My buddy from the third grade, Jimmy, he's so smart. He understood. He made it clear and plain to me that manufacturing was the way to go. And so him, myself, and our third partner, Yaz, who grew the legacy side of the business with me for those 4 years, we created our legal business, and here I am now.
And what's that business now? ButACake or
CannPowerment.
CannPowerment?
Yes.
And
So
that's
CannPower manufactures, but
independent manufacturer, right?
hmm
How's that feel?
so badass.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
No,
absolutely love it. Yeah.
that's
And
gotta be.
I love it not just because I can make butter cake now and put it wherever I want, but I'm finding more and more passion in being able to empower other brands to also get to have like the butter cake experience, right? So now I have a diabetic friendly line of baked goods coming out under a different brand by a gentleman who actually has diabetes, who's actually running a dispensary, which is a high stress, environment. And so when you have diabetes and you're in that world, it made so much sense for me to put his product out there. So I'm really proud of it. Look out for Angry Gorilla.
Angry
Um,
Gorilla. Let's go.
and then also like a prolific grow house. They are the first minority social equity cultivator in the state to operate and put flower out there. And he called me up. He was like, "Yo, I don't know anything about edibles. You're a chef, and you're actually the only chef with a license. So can you help me make my first edible?" I said, "Absolutely." So those are the kinds of things I'm doing with CannPowerment. It's like if you have a brand, if you've been in the streets or not, if you're legal or not, come talk to me. I would love to figure out how to get you on that shelf if that's what you want.
Yeah, and create kind of a product that's in your mind. Damn, no better way than you. You've already been through it. What's it like navigating this New Jersey market? So before you're kind of operating in like a grayish area, right? And then you became this manufacturer. So that's kind of a way different transition. Going from like a gray area to like where you are now, very highlighted, very more secure, regimented. How's that transition going for your mental?
Personally, especially in the beginning, first of all, people on the internet are so mean, and I cried a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
the amount of
Like
people,
Reddit.
no, not even Reddit. I live on Instagram. That's where my whole community is at.
Oh,
Yeah. And for the amount of people that were calling me a sellout, not because I went legal, but because I partnered with a huge company that had resources and free rent for me to be in a space where I could do what I needed to do and learn. The learning curve from legacy to legal is so freaking big. Most operators can't afford to do it, especially if you're like me. I'm self-made, no millions, no none of that. And so I feel like personally the transition was really hard because fundamentally people that are into weed don't understand business. And I'm not a sellout because they don't understand how business works.
No, I think
So that
I
hurt
call
my
cannabis
feelings.
the ultimate yin and yang industry for many reasons, but usually it's always for the culture or the weed heads mixed in with the business and the money heads, right? And they don't always see eye to eye,
Yeah.
but usually it's over the
No.
same things and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's just a little insight. But I do know people always judge anybody's movements unless it's their own. And it's always easier to commentate than to be involved with something or ask you why, right? What were some of the reasons that people
Yeah.
were uh, trying to back up on why they think that this would be like a sellout movement or anything like that? Was it just the big name that it was attached to, or just like the gray market to the legal market just in general, right? Because I feel like there's a big the naming.
It was the name it was attached to. So what I didn't publicize was 2021 to December 2021 till April 2022. I fought so hard every which way to stay in New Jersey, to do my job here, and to do it legally. But the way that people who existed before me wrote the law, they didn't consider legacy operators like me. They didn't consider talent like mine. All they thought was, oh, people that do drugs, they just want gummies. That's it. So their entire edible program was built after gummies, and New Jersey was so conservative, and they wanted to protect these kids so bad that they couldn't even let us call a gummy a gummy. So that,
Yeah, to be a
yeah,
Lossinger or
lozenge. I was like,
soft.
"Mm, it's a lozenge. Even Halls doesn't say that.
We gotta call it a trochee in Pennsylvania, where the original program I'm from. Yeah, it's called a trochee. It's not a gummy, but it's a
Yeah, it's
gummy.
a gummy. We
You know,
all
it's
know it's
just
a gummy.
labeled as
And
trochee. So at that point, you were operating in Jersey, but then the rules around it, the regulatory rules around it, didn't really enable you for baked goods yet. Is that what you're? Um,
correct. I wasn't able to operate in New Jersey yet because there were no rules for me to operate.
did
And
you
that's
go
how,
next door or anything for a little bit to?
yeah, I had to pack my bags and go to Delaware. It was
Okay.
devastating. I'm from North
Yeah.
Jersey, by the way, so
Oh, is that bad then to go to
they might
Delaware?
as well have sent me to Utah,
Oh
okay? I
no.
devastated
Oh no.
Delaware.
Yeah.
Um,
But
I get
in a way, what did you gain from that?
the opportunity to be fully independent today. If I had not gone to Delaware, I wouldn't have learned all of the things that put me in this position now. I wouldn't have learned what it was going to take to even change a rule or a law in New Jersey for me to even have an edible of my kind in the market. And so, Delaware really gave me the time to sharpen myself. The operator that most people see today, she was built in Delaware, okay? And that's because Jersey fumbled the bag. But luckily, I love home so much. I came back home. I worked with the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association, who provided me the voice that could be heard by regulators. I still was a nobody. I didn't have a license. I didn't have anything. These I had to convince these people to open up a lane, not just for me to exist, but literally for the edibles market to open up. A lot of the gummies we see today exist because of me, and I don't even make gummies. So I can't say 100% because of me because I don't know everything, but like my voice really made serious impact. And now I get to do my job like fully independent. I'm off the tit of the Walmart of weed from Delaware, and it's I make decisions hand in hand with regulators. I make decisions with other stakeholders in the industry, and those decisions make other people very happy when they get to eat a snickerdoodle.
Yeah. No, I mean 100%. I think it's wild how different markets can be even if they're neighboring markets. Like state
Yeah.
to state, the way that we run cannabis is so just unorganized. I don't want to talk negative because I'm very grateful that one, we're allowed to have it. We've been fighting so
Yeah.
long to have it, right? So the underlying message of it is I'm very appreciative of it. Small, but it would be nice to just have some more organization program wise state to state, where if your
Yeah.
state is going to allow cannabis, this it should operate under X means. And then let's make that, a uniform um standard for each
I
program.
love that you say that because that's how it works in all the industries except ours because we're not federally regulated. And so until the president and all his boys decide to do something, all states will be fragmented and disconnected. And it is unfortunate because it's confusing. It's confusing for the regular everyday person.
Yeah, they don't know. Like the normal consumer just doesn't have the bandwidth to dig into regulatories and try to change it. I think they're just like, all right, cool. I need my relief. I now don't have to text this dude. I can go to the store. Like that's cool. That's where
Then they
like
go on Reddit and complain about the price.
yeah, yeah, but as far as it goes, like that's where it ends. They don't really dig into regulatory issues or try to make their voice heard. It's more of like the minority culture people or operators in that space that take it upon themselves to then create it because they're trying to change it to better the program, but also better any type of movement that they want to make as well, right? And I think it's
Practicality to the situation too. Like
yeah,
we operate because people who don't exist in our world put a bunch of words on a piece of paper and then they were like, all right, go make it work. And then we all get to work and we're like, what do you mean? How does this, how?
yeah. And
Yeah,
it blows my mind the amount of non-consumers or non-appreciative people that write these rules and regulatories don't understand really cannabis at all or its interactions, but they study economics and see it, why it works. But there's
mhm,
so much more to this type of commerce than just the economic side of it.
agreed. And I feel like not enough operators are invited to the table when a lot of these decisions are being made.
And not a lot of independent operators. Um, and
Correct.
they do unfortunately favor bigger operators, multi-state operators, and it's harder to be an independent in this space. It takes a lot of integrity, it takes a lot of heart and some thick skin, which I think you got from working in the kitchens and everything. It sounds like,
Well, my skin is sweet, not
yeah,
thick.
yeah, good.
Look like butter.
Good. But so what was it like moving from Delaware? How long were you operating in Delaware for?
I mean, technically still.
Yeah. Oh, word. Okay. So you still,
In the market in
oh,
Delaware,
perfect.
but I live in Jersey full time. I'm in Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're in the Jersey market
Mhm.
too. What was it like? Were there any big regulatory changes that you had to get used to going from Delaware and then back into New Jersey?
No, no. Because like I said, Delaware sharpened me. I had so much time. I
Nice.
memorized the Cream Act. I memorized
Yeah.
the regulations. So by the time I got to Jersey,
You were
like
ready. Yeah. Yeah, you were
I
in it.
was
You
I
were
was
ready to
ready.
go.
Yeah.
That has to feel good, especially
Hmm.
being like back to your home,
Yeah.
like
It
where
does.
you wanted to be originally. But I think it's great because now you're in two states. Are you in any more?
Hmm.
Okay, you were in Maryland,
No,
but
we
kind of
we
dropped out.
quietly exited
Yeah,
Maryland.
nice.
Yeah, it's a lot. And honestly, I don't have the passion for other states the way I do for New Jersey. Um, I love Delaware, small, mighty, beautiful medical program that they're running over there. I'm like extremely proud to be the first Black woman to operate in the medical market there. I think I'm probably still the only one. I don't know. But it's being able to have people in positions of power that see you and understand the opportunity and hand you the opportunity knowing that you are going to go home, to me that was like huge. If anybody from Delaware is watching this, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's I always label something as like a good bad experience, but it doesn't sound like it was a bad experience other than the statements that people gave, that they didn't fully understand. But for your own personal growth, I think that's actually a pretty good journey to go through. Um,
Yeah. Professionally, it was the best thing that could have
and
happened.
so getting back into like New Jersey, what do you think was kind of like the biggest barrier of entry getting into the space again? Was it kind of changing the laws and everything like
Yeah.
that, or?
First, I had to get rules changed so that the market could expand for edibles. So that was really hard, and I did all of that without even having a license. So I wasn't even an operator yet. Remember, I'm out here changing the game for people that could have slayed me if they wanted to. So shout out to the industry for just letting me thrive in the baked goods space. And then I don't know, New Jersey wasn't. The municipal approval part, that sucked. I had to just waste so much money on renting facilities and paying for like buildings and all this stuff just to end up not operating out of those facilities. Um, the way to get a license in New Jersey is there's two avenues. Either you're already rich and you could just pay to do it and do it now, or you're broke and you got to split it up and go the conditional route. And that's the route I went, obviously. And it was hard, but I'm almost out of it. And once I get out of the conditional route handcuffs, I will be able to fundraise and go get the millions and scale my business and really do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. And then are you able to, through that process of like getting a manufacturer, are you able to like rent kitchen space in Jersey? Could you do that like under a licensed facility? Or does it
That's what I
have
did
to
in
be?
Delaware.
That's what you did in
Mhm.
Delaware? Okay,
And
cool.
now because I have my own licensed facility, I can give that opportunity to other people that want to come in. So like my manufacturing license, it can do anything, not just baked goods. I am a pastry chef, so baked goods is where we start. But there's so much talent out there. I wasn't spending my time in the legacy days not understanding who the extractors were. I have extra space in my facility. I plan on building it out into an extraction room so that anybody from legacy could come up in there, get badged, work under my license, and put fire out. I know I don't know everything, but I know that with my license, I can help a lot of
No, that's
people.
really cool. And then would you need a separate processing license? Does that go hand in hand with manufacturing or is that tied into like the same entity?
It's the
Okay,
same
cool.
thing, same
Yeah,
thing.
nice. Oh, that is awesome. You started talking
Mhm.
about labs. I get really I love hash. Like I love
Woo!
rosin only. That's really all I consume. With the acceptance of a baked good or edible every now and then, but
Thank you.
hash has been the way to my heart. I have a weird body, so I struggle with whatever this CHS syndrome is, this cannabinoid hyperemesis. So something in cannabis makes me extremely sick sometimes. And that was around when I was doing a lot of flour. I was a heavy blunt smoker, and I was consuming a lot of hydrocarbons at the time because that's what was available. And, I started narrowing everything down, and so far I haven't had an episode just sticking to my strict solventless only regimen. Yeah,
I will say, ButACake is releasing a beverage, and we made it with full spectrum oil, 100% solventless, and I'm really excited about that because you shouldn't be limited in your edible experience because distillate is the cheapest thing flowing through the market. That's not fair.
yeah, and I think it has its place. I think it definitely has its place with edibles, and I understand why. But it's more of the education around what tier of distillate is going into these, and trusting that manufacturer on their quality standards of what they're going to put
Mhm.
into their gummies. But the distillate hasn't had me too reactive, but I just stick to the solventless. But I do enjoy the snickerdoodles a lot. The peanut butter cookie I liked, and it's been great. So the beverage though, so that is I heard a new law. I was in a dispensary in Jersey the other day, and I was talking to the owner, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna put some smaller fridges in here, and the liquor stores are not able to sell the THC beverages after X date in the future." And he was like, "So, we're gonna open it up, and we can sell beverages in here as like ancillary items that aren't going to be through metric." And I just looked at him and I was like, wow, that's really cool, man. Like the beverage, in a way, I think it's great because I think people should have access to beverages, especially in THC. I think that is a great move to help standardize the consumption of cannabis, right? So, in that avenue, I think it's a way for people now to experience something else or maybe put in the hands of someone else that isn't consuming cannabis that feels more comfortable. Um, do I think it's fair for the operators in New Jersey that have to fight for their license to produce the products to be sold in the dispensaries, and now they have to face the competition in store when it comes to hemp derived? I think that is a very, very tricky navigational road. Um,
So now that this silly little hemp beverage has entered the freaking chat, because hemp is so cheap and because the window is closing operationally, the guys that are making these things, ladies, whoever it is making these things, it's a money grab. How can you trust quality when it's a money grab? And then I'm going to come in behind with an actual THC produced beverage from an actual group of guys from New Jersey, born and raised, super cool, young families to feed that do the extractions themselves. Like we pour into every single detail of the product for the cannabis consumer just to have a race to the bottom because the hemp quick cash grab. And I think it's not fair. And I think that is also just confusing because the guy or the woman or the person that is buying these hemp beverages from the liquor store, most times they're not the dispensary customer
do
anyway.
you think though? So the people that are buying these products in the liquor store, right? Exactly what you said. They're not a dispensary customer anyway. So do you think you still have I think, and we'll see if you agree, that you have a slight advantage with the brand presence and the quality that you've already built around your brand to have that seltzer in New Jersey with your name on it, because I feel like people are gonna, they already trust ButACake, they already know you, they trust you. So now they're gonna see a well-known, trusted brand next to, who knows, some random brand that they never heard about. Um, and I think the people that are already shopping in the dispensaries are going to outnumber the people that will trickle into the dispensaries from the liquor store because I think they're just gonna not have it there and then be like, oh, all right, it's not here.
Yeah, like it's just
I'm
gone. And then that guy's gonna go buy I don't know, what's in a
gonna
liquor
buy
store.
beer or like, yeah, liquor or what, whatever, whiskey. I said beer in a liquor store, so I don't even drink, so I don't know, but I don't see. I do understand completely the frustrations of being a cannabis operator and then
Yeah.
having to deal with that competition, because it's a very frustrating road right now with legal licensed facilities, cannabis operators versus this hemp market,
Yeah.
you know.
But here's the
Uh,
thing though, right? I feel like the hemp market and the hemp beverage is two different conversations, which is why they're allowing the beverages and not all the other stuff. And unfortunately, we have a serious problem. CBD could actually disappear. New Jersey's hemp farmers are on the brink of uh I don't know, no longer being able to exist, extinction, if you want to say. And while I am, as an operator, I don't care to celebrate hemp beverages being sold in dispensaries. I honestly think that's a moot point. I think that the bigger conversation needs to be around how do we save our current hemp farmers? How do we make sure that their municipalities opt in to the cannabis space so that these hemp farmers could get grandfathered in? Because the hemp farmers are a supplier to me. You feel me? So if I want to go make CBD brownies, full spectrum oil, really low THC but high value products, I don't have access to that supply the way the current cannabis market is set up. That's, I feel like that's the hot topic, not these silly little drinks in the dispensaries, for
yeah,
sure.
and it's so I started in the cannabis space, and then
Mhm.
I came back to the East Coast and jumped into out of the cannabis space into the hemp space and started consulting for hemp farmers in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. PA was cool. It was all the Amish, so I worked hand in hand with the Amish and I taught all of them how to cultivate cannabis. And in Jersey, I worked with a few farms as well. And it was such a wild experience to see what that industry did. The money they produced in 2018 to 2019, and in 2019 to 2020, it dropped like 80%. So that market took such a big hit because everybody started growing hemp, but no one knew what to do with it. So they all started
Correct.
to think that they had a bunch of outlets for it, and then it dropped. So anything that I can do to help educate people and re-stimulate the farming community when it comes to hemp, I think is very powerful. Um, because eventually, once more legalities change, if you are already in the legacy program, you are already cultivating hemp and have that on lock, you can easily switch and do. I mean, I would never say get rid of your hemp, but I would say go 50-50. Um, I think cannabinoids, especially hemp cannabinoids, are very beneficial. Uh, and we need more of that presence other than just THC. I think THC is great. That's what got our foot in the door. I'm saying this as a heavy hash smoker, but the full power of the plant, and we label them as minor cannabinoids, but we shouldn't label them because they're still major players in how they give us our relief, is really where this full spectrum power comes from. And unfortunately, in our medical markets, or more of in our adult use markets, we've isolated one and made that king. When I don't think that is, and I don't think that's the best route, and it crushes me that the most normal heard words in a dispensary is highest THC. I want the highest THC, and it's like, no, you don't, But that's an argument for a whole other episode. We could get a whole panel for that one, you know. So what's your approach then with these beverages and battling? Or do you think there needs to be um more presence around what this change could bring to the New Jersey space? I mean, they're going through a lot right now with the allowing home growing, the unlicensed product that was leached into the program that was saved, and it's like, how do you get around that? Because it's kind of the same thing. Now, this is unlicensed product coming into these stores, essentially, right? So as a new operator licensee in New Jersey, how do you combat that?
I'm not.
No?
The window is going to
Yeah.
close. They won't be able to do it forever. I think they have until like April or,
Okay.
or November, something of that nature.
Yeah.
And then it'll
Yeah.
just disappear.
No.
And then consumers won't even realize what happened.
No.
I'm not too worried.
Are you allowed to give me a launch date for your
Not yet.
beverages? Not
But
yet? That's
I
cool.
can
That's cool.
promise you that I'll DM you the scoop when I have
I
it.
think the
Right.
beverage space is such a good opportunity for cannabis to now get in the hands of people that only want something in their hands to drink. I think there's a lot of people that are just comfortable with alcohol, and if we're able to embrace their habits and meet them where they're at and give them something to change that, I think people will be more tuned into it, especially when they wake up not as
Yeah.
hungover.
I would say too, not just alcohol, right? Like we live in a world where everything is in a can. Like if I'm thirsty right now and I want a soda, it's here we go. It's that easy. So I think just general consumer behavior when you want to get somebody to try weed for the first time and you just want to break it down and make it so simple, turning it into a drink, turning it into food is the easiest way to get somebody to understand because we don't have to teach people how to drink or eat.
Exactly. We just got to align with their taste buds. So what's that
Exactly.
like, getting in the kitchen, being a pastry background and doing your own type of R&D and coming up with these tasty snacks that you're creating? Can you give us some insight on kind of your own mental process and how you get in there and how you determine what's a hit, what maybe not be, things like that?
So currently, right now, everything that's in the market was already predetermined a hit because of all my years in the legacy. So a lot of my legacy recipes are still the ones that I'm using today, just doing them at a larger scale. And so that's how I knew that this business was going to be fine. When before I had a license, these products were basically the same. The only difference was my input material. Now I have to use distillate. When I was in the legacy market, honestly, I'd never even heard of distillate. Nobody taught me about that, offered it. It wasn't a thing. And so that's really the only difference as far as me and the chef and my products go. It's food first, and then we add the cannabis because that's just an extra ingredient. Yeah, exactly. The second. Yeah. So here's the thing. It's not that so every manufacturer is different. I am unique because I don't want to do the extra work. So I am most manufacturers' dreams. I shop with them for extractions. Uh, in a new market, distillate is usually the easiest thing to get your hands on. So what I tell most people is like, it's not that distillate is bad, it's just that distillate is vodka, and sometimes you get offered Tito's, and sometimes you get offered Svedka. You feel me? Um, and now that I've been in the legal market, especially independent now, where I can make my own supply decisions, I have more access towards the full spectrum oils and all the different types of ways I could make my mediums. But I will say, distillate honestly is one of the easiest. It is just it's so concentrated that you can see the numbers so much easier, which allows me to do my dosing so that when people eat butter cake, they don't have those horror
Yep.
stories about like, oh my God, I got so high.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Which you hear way more often with edibles.
Mm-hmm.
And usually a bad experience through someone being too stoned is because it's
Of an edible.
yeah, and very rarely it's from like the legal market. It's usually like your buddy made it, and they didn't
Yeah.
know like how much they put into it, or maybe they did, but they kind of forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. They're like, yo, my buddy made this brownie and he gave it to me, and like I just ate the whole thing and I was just gone. Or like he told me to eat half and then I didn't feel it, so then I ate the other half. That's usually what I hear when it comes to like edible stories. Um,
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, the people are like, no, I don't really like edibles, and I always ask, like, well, like, why not? And it's just like, I just had a really, or I don't have the enzyme, I can't break it down, I don't feel it. But usually it's like, oh, I just like, I got way too stoned. And then you have to,
But luckily, honestly, ButACake has done a really good job at managing to turn a lot of people around both of those, right? So for a lot of people that are like, oh my God, I had a horrible experience, I explained to them where I was and where I am now and why they should try it again. For the people who like, they're like, 10 milligrams isn't enough. I don't feel anything. But I'm like, just eat the damn brownie anyway. And then they eat it after they smoke the joint because they got the munchies and they're like, wow, it tastes so good. People don't realize you smoke your joint, you feel something, you eat that edible, you eat that butter cake right after, it actually carries your high for you. You don't necessarily have to eat a 10 milligram edible and expect to feel something. You can use it as the addition to how you
yeah,
already like to
yeah. I
consume.
call it like a post-flight when smoking is like a pre-flight thing,
Mhm.
or like during flight,
Yeah.
because usually I smoke and then I take my edibles as I'm going on the plane for the flight. Because I need something. I'll be
Mhm.
sitting on that plane like
Little
like
flight extender.
but the edibles are the only thing that gets through me. But that's usually what I hear. And so in Jersey, you're only allowed to do like 100 milligram totals, but like 10 milligram, you guys do 10 milligram singles, right? And then is there I've always bought the individual ones, but do you have an option for like a whole bar that would be like 100 milligrams, or do you stick just to the 10 milligram servings?
So a lot of people ask me about that. Everybody wants to know, and I'm actually on a journey right now to be able to change the law a little bit to allow,
Nice. Look at you
yeah, for
go.
flexibility.
Yeah.
So right now, the way New Jersey's laws are written is you can put 100 milligrams into one single item so long as we can see every 10 milligram serving. Okay? Now, a peanut butter and jelly brownie, if anybody has ever seen that, I shouldn't have to say why that's impossible. Feel me? On no planet has anybody had to demarcate a kernel of popcorn or a pretzel or a piece of granola. Like, I can't even expand my offerings and help the state make more money because of this one sentence in the law.
Yeah, it's crazy. Have you have you asked them on why they made it this way? Because it seems like you're pretty active in the like the or try to
No, I
be,
didn't ask
you
them why
know.
they do anything.
Um,
I just explained my position and I asked them to
yeah,
change.
yeah. And have you found so far it's been in your favor more than not?
I mean, for sure. We have brownies today because of it. So I'm thankful. I'm certainly not like under the impression that if I say something it's going to happen. Everything is up for negotiation, you know. Ultimately, somebody who has more power than me is going to make that decision for my business, for this industry, for the consumers. It doesn't come from me directly, but hopefully I could find enough industry support that like lawmakers and rule makers don't have a choice but to say like, yeah, why don't we have a 20 milligram brownie in the market?
Yeah, it is. Again, it's at trying to create a standard market to market, which is just like it gets so lost
Yeah.
for the understanding at least because everything in PA like had to be 10 milligrams. You know, then you had certain caps, and I know certain states have like regulations on packaging. You know, so what can you even put on your packaging? It's like, cool, I got this product. This is what I needed to say, and then they're like, yeah, that's cool. No, like, and it's like, what do you mean? You know, and I'm sure,
And they're like, oh, but did you look at the guidance for the label that goes on the packaging? Because I know you read the regs for the packaging, but what about the other part? And it's like so many layers. This thing called compliance is like a ginormous dictionary. And anytime you want to do something, you have to go to the first part of the dictionary and you read about it. And then at the end of the phrase, it's like, oh, go to section blah, 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 blah to find out the next part about how you're supposed to do this. And it's so layered. Um, Honestly, I don't know how I do it. Our team is only four of us. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So it's a lot.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Doing it though. So I'm familiar with the peanut butter brownie, right? Peanut butter jelly brownie, the snickerdoodle. What other products have you either released and then discontinued, or what's your full lineup in the Jersey market and Delaware too?
Delaware is very easy. We have classic brownie, we have oatmeal raisin cookie, and chocolate chunk cookie. Soon we will be launching the snickerdoodle and the sugar cookie in Delaware as
Let's
well.
go.
Yeah, very
Snickerdoodle.
exciting.
Cool.
New Jersey, unfortunately, we discontinued the strips, which was actually our introduction to the market. Yeah, strips are hard, man.
What are what are those? Can you
They're like
enlighten me?
Listerine strips, and you put them on your tongue, and they dissolve, and you get the effect. Yeah, they're
Whoa.
fast acting, sugar free, dairy free, no dyes, no artificial anything. It's just yum. Everything I make. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, the idea of it's cool. Making it and then selling it are all the other hurdles. But that is, I've never heard of that.
Part of the reason why we had to take it out of the market is because unfortunately we exist in a world where every consumer bases their edible buying decisions off of gummies. And so, to the consumer now, they are under the impression that I'm supposed to eat 10 little pieces of something, and that's supposed to mean 100 milligrams, and I should never have to pay more than $20 for it. But unfortunately, that model doesn't work for all edibles, especially super sophisticated edibles like what we make. And so, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but Listerine, the actual company Listerine, they haven't done any innovation to these strips. They haven't made new products, new flavors, no nothing. I don't actually know that you could go buy a Listerine strip in a CVS right now. And so that's to prove how difficult the format is. And because the regulations are the way they are and the market is the way it is, and my business is so small, economically, it's just not viable. I can't put 10 strips into a container without each strip having to be demarcated or individually wrapped. And in order for me to automate those systems, I need to customize and create equipment that doesn't exist. And when you get into that world, you talk about tens of millions of dollars. I haven't even seen $1 million with my own two eyes yet. So it's physically not possible, which is why I have to keep talking to lawmakers and our regulators and senators and just all these different kinds of people that I spent so many years hiding from
Yeah, no, for
and
sure.
avoiding.
The yin and yang. But to change it,
Yeah,
you
it's
got to put
crazy.
yourself in the rooms they're in, because they only listen to you if you're in their room, unfortunately, and meet them where they're at when they're looking down at, meet them where
Meet
they're
them where
at.
they're at. I be meeting them with these cookies,
Yeah.
child. So to answer your question, the strips are gone, but hopefully someday they'll make a comeback. And when they do, you guys will know that our business is like doing beyond well. That'll be the
So
record.
were they flavored?
Yeah, we had Blue Blizzard, which was my inspiration for the actual Listerine flavors. So nice and minty, keep you fresh after date situation. And then we had chocolate mint, so like thin mint that you get at the
Whoa.
hotel. That was the flavor that I was going after. And ginger peach. I just love ginger and peach. I think
Damn.
yum.
And you could just put them on your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's a great
I,
product. I can't wait to bring it back. I just need a couple
I
of rules to change.
I'm excited for you to bring it back just to have. I just love new type of cool edible any ways to just consume cannabis, right? At this point, I'm just like, what's
Mhm.
new, what's cool, what's different. Um so here in the strips, I'm upset, but I'm glad you know how to do it, you've done it. So that hard part's done,
Yeah,
which
that's
is nice. When that's ready to change, you're ready to rock. And
yeah.
I'm excited about that because the
They're
ginger.
already approved in metric. We could put them out tomorrow if we wanted to.
Oh
It's just,
wow.
yeah, it's a lot of consumer education that needs to happen. I can't compete with my kinds of products with consumers that expect to pay dummy prices. Let's be so real.
It's hard in Jersey with edible. I'm sure in every market, but especially Jersey, I feel like they're more into 100 milligrams for the price, not into what is this and why. It's and
Exactly.
yeah,
But they'll go to Crumble and they'll pay $8 for a cookie that's
yeah,
not even
yeah,
good.
and it's around education, I think bandwidth, and them knowing like, oh, this is that type of quality. Not saying crumble cookie is quality, but relating it to like a baked good that maybe they could get, like, oh, this is what that's like. Um,
Yeah.
dang.
People hit us up every day and they're like, ButACake, please make us the baked goods without the cannabis. Like, we don't even need the cannabis. It just tastes so good. Please, 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 please. Every day I get the request.
What do you think about that? Why not both? That's too crazy?
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a
We hand
lot.
make all of our products.
Okay, I get it.
Myself
Yeah.
and yes, two of us in the kitchen, we literally physically right now hand make every single baked good New Jersey gets to have.
That's love. Love. That's why they taste so
Yeah.
good. Just you can just taste the love in them. You know
Yo,
what I mean?
facts.
All right, so you have the brownies, you got the
Yeah.
snickerdoodles. We got rid of the strips, but they're going to be coming back eventually.
Yeah. And then we got all the cookies in the world. We've got sugar cookie, choco chunk cookie, oatmeal raisin cookie, and peanut butter
Yeah,
cookie.
yeah, I had that one too.
So
I like that one. What's your favorite? Are you able? They're all like your kids in a way. So like,
I'm not lying
yeah,
to my kids. Every day I have a
yeah,
new
yeah.
favorite.
What's been your recent favorite? Put
Yeah.
it that way.
Um, the sugar
The
cookie.
sugar cookie. Yeah. You think it's
Yeah.
just like,
I also
yeah,
think
the
it's just
nostalgia
this
of
time of
wintertime
year.
sugar cookie type deal? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is there
Hmm.
anything,
Yeah.
say regulatories aren't a thing and you have full range to create something that you really want to create and bring to market, but like right now that's just impossible. So let's take that away. What does that look like? What does that good look like?
Oh my God. What? It looks like everything I ever made on the legacy side. It looks like sweet. It looks like savory. It looks like people might not fuck with this. I would just, man, some of my favorite things I did in the legacy market, pudding, applesauce.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, just really cool. The amount of people that call me, I got a wisdom tooth taken. Can you make me applesauce? I didn't even realize that that was a thing until it became a thing. And now I miss it because the legal market doesn't allow for me to do it.
doesn't. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
damn, it's always such a interesting balance to figure out, do I stay in gray market or do I go legal? And it's like obviously each has its pros and cons that you map out all the time. But I'm sure when you hear like regulatory issues or like compliance and shit, you're just like, yo, I didn't have to deal like what am I doing? But
No, but technically, I mean, even when I was legacy, the same risk still applied. I just didn't have a license, but also at any given point, a cop could come in and take my little legacy situation away from me and send me to jail. Like these current regulators could do the same. So in that sense, there's not really a difference. But I will say the biggest difference is that instead of hiding from the people that could take your business away from you, like in the legacy, now I have to actually deal with them and face them on a regular basis.
What's that like? I feel like internally you can be very sweet, but you're in a environment that may not always call for that. So what's it like having to step up and balance like strength as a founder that you're creating and the sweet side of things as well? Because business and sweet don't always mix, un
It can't.
unfortunately.
Listen, if I'm in a position where I can't be sweet, I'm sending somebody
Yeah.
else. One of the teammates is coming after you.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not,
that's good that you have a
I'm out.
buffer for that and understand because I feel like some
Yeah.
people they
No,
don't, and they sometimes emotions get the best of all of us. That's called human processing. And it's nice to be able to realize where your human processing lies and maybe where someone other's human processing needs to come in to play. Because we all have strengths, right? And sometimes being very emotional about what you're
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
do can bring out that fire in all of us. And that doesn't always get across to all the minds you need to get to. So
correct. Which
that's,
is why I never spoke publicly up until
yeah.
my first public meeting with the state last
Oh,
week
I saw you. I was tuned in.
at the
You're
CSP.
very, you're
Thank
very
you.
nice. You're very nice. Were you
Thank
nervous?
you. Yeah. No, because I talk to them every day. These people run my life. I have to comply.
Yeah. No, and I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, we create a lot of blocks for people that are in a statute of enforcement, right? And it's nice to be able to take a deep breath. And at the end of the day, like it's human to human interaction. We're
Yes,
we're
we have to remember
We're
that.
humans, they're humans. I think we all have a narcissistic trait to think that people know what we're feeling and thinking about. And if we're able to take a second to realize like, shit, I was very wrong and they're not approaching me like that, but that's just like our first reaction. Like you size everybody up in the room you go to immediately and you create these facades about these people in your head of how they're looking at you. And it's nice to be able to take a deep breath and realize like, no, I got this. I talk to these people all the time. I just need to, get them to listen to me. I thought you did great. You held yourself well. That pushed me even more to be like, I can't wait to talk to her. Because you've been through it and you're talking to the people to re-navigate where the thing needs to go because you see the success that lies in the future, and you also see the success that you can be as a leader, creating these pathways for the individuals that may not now have to go through the shit that you had to go through. Um, but it takes a certain individual to be able to put that together and then put that into action. So if there's one thing I think if you can gain from this conversation is really understand that, like putting that on your shoulders and carrying this torch that you're carrying right now for future manufacturers and future just like product producers, like man, Queen, what's up? It's not easy, especially in this space. I'm a male, but I'm saying it, and like you're in a male dominating space, and unfortunately, we just have dude brain, and sometimes that just isn't the best thing to have. So having to navigate that as well, and seeing the success that you're bringing, it's great.
I will say though, very proudly, we are a woman-owned company. We're a black woman-owned company. Yasmin and myself at the top. Everybody else is a man. There's a whole bunch of men working for ButACake, and we absolutely love it. We love it. Yeah, for this to be a male-dominated industry, but I am surrounded by men who are raising little girls. I am surrounded by young men who are turning into amazing men because they're surrounded by the right examples. So, um, I think that while there's plenty of Brads and Chads, and we could talk shit about them too, there's still so many good men in this industry. And frankly, a lot of these men are my mentors. I don't know everything. I'm not a carbon extractor. I haven't spent years in my daddy's garage blowing shit up, figuring it out. I was too busy playing with easy pigment. So very thankful for the men in the space that are actually, like an
No,
asset.
I
They're
think
really
that's
here.
beautiful to recognize because there's one thing I do want to highlight is there are way too many Brads and Chads in this industry, and this is coming from a dude himself. Um, I've been in a lot of programs. I consulted for a lot of brands, and I could write a chart of the similarities between the troubleshooting and the ignorance between the brands and where that really funnels down to. Um, and that's part of the yin
Yeah,
and yang, the culture versus the business. And um, I
correct.
always root for any women-owned cannabis brand. I think it's very powerful, and I think it's very needed in this space. Let alone it's paying homage to the plant that we're all surrounding ourselves with.
Okay. Her,
You know,
she.
yeah. So it's just dope. So I'm glad you have a really good team behind you to help build that up because we need both, it needs to both need to be successful together. So man, there's a lot to dissect with everything you're going on. But
Come back for part two.
oh, I love it, especially with the beverages.
Yeah.
I'm just really excited for people to be able to have that option in the space where they're at because not a lot of people that are buying cannabis are going to go into the liquor store to buy the drink. But I just really do believe in beverages being a
The
really,
connector.
yes, it's just a crucial tool for standardization and finally
Hmm.
bridging this competitive gap. Because more
I
and more
agree.
people are giving up alcohol. Um, I don't have a great positive view on alcohol. I don't get it. But I think if you're able to handle it in a very respectful way and it's not abusive, then if that crushes what you need to be a human, cool, dope. We all need something. I just think there are a lot more natural outlets that you could chase, and I think you're just used to booze, but if you can get it in like weed in a can, I think it's going to do a lot.
Same, 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 same. I absolutely agree. I know that there's so many people, me included, to be honest with you. Um, we go to these like cannabis events and these industry events and shit, and there's always alcohol, always. But there's never enough weed at these places, right? And that ties into the fact that like most areas don't allow for cannabis consumption in this format. Not everybody always wants to be eating a brownie and also indulging in conversation while networking. So I just feel like for so many people now, I don't have to stand around a bunch of suits and feel like I have to have alcohol in my hand when a beverage could be the alternative that has cannabis in it. I think a lot of women, we enter business meetings and these men are like, have a scotch, have a whiskey. And we don't feel comfortable enough to say no because we are already the weak one in the room anyway. But I would love the opportunity for somebody to be like, have a can. It's definitely on the way. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel the same. I don't drink alcohol, so anytime I do go to like a social event or these cannabis events where consumption's not allowed, it always happens, but with
Mhm.
it's not condoned, you feel weird when someone's like, "Yo, let me get you a drink. Like, what do you want?" And you're
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I don't drink, man.
yeah,
Just give me a
right.
water." And it's just like, but it's such a good point to you. Like, it's a cannabis event. Like, but yet we're pushing alcohol.
The same people that
Yeah.
lobby against us, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really cool
Let's be
insight. I
real.
like I like that a lot. It's crazy. So
Yeah.
wrapping up, 5 years from now, where do you see ButACake? What are you thinking? What are you manifesting? That's the word of the day.
Wow. 5 years from now, I see ButACake as a international edibles brand. I see ButACake as like the next Wana. Like before gummies were so cool, there were a bunch of little brands, but then Wana came and it was like, oh, she was the gummy. Most people, when they think about weed gummies, that's probably one of the first brands. And so right now, the way cannabis is set up, state to state to state, there's not one brand that people are like, ooh, brownie, and I want to be that brand. So 5 years from now, when people think about baked goods in the cannabis space, the word butter cake needs to be
Yeah.
next to that.
Hell yeah. I
Mhm.
like that. I like that. We're
Yeah.
gonna do a little little rapid fire. You cool with that?
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna make
so,
it quick.
favorite strain?
Acapulco Gold.
Oh, you
Slaps.
you a sweet or savory?
Both.
Okay, plot twist. That's a rule out of my own book.
I'll go to the steakhouse for dessert first, and then I'll fit whatever meat into my body after.
Okay. I haven't played that one yet, but I'm intrigued. That's dope. One thing that most people don't know about you.
I'm single and I love love.
Damn.
And
There you go. Yo,
I'm
what's
looking for
up,
my
chef? Where
husband.
you at?
Where is he?
Let's go. Come on. And one thing I always like to think about is what would past, like your past self, so say yourself in 2015, what would they say to your current self now in 2026?
Um, the same thing she's been telling herself. Don't let nobody tell you no. Follow your gut. If it's supposed to be, it will be.
Shit. Yeah. Yeah. And ending it all, what does success look for you?
What does success look like for me? Success for me looks like more legacy players in the legal game, more independent operators in the legal game. Um, Success looks like less Walmart of weed, less CVS style dispensaries. I think that we truly need to get back to our roots, and hopefully that's something I could help make happen.
Yeah. Damn. I think you
Yeah.
will. I think you're only on the trajectory to change
Oh,
more
thank
and
you.
to be heard more. Um, it's only up from here,
For
you know,
sure.
and that's it. The fighting gets easier as you get more known. And I think you are doing a fantastic job of one, representing ButACake, but but two, creating and representing your own individual self in the cannabis space,
Thank you.
uh, which I think is powerful. So, on an ending note, do you have anything that you want to say that we missed? Anything like that?
No, I have nothing to say. You can follow me on Instagram at ButACake. You could Google me, Matha Figaro. What's the Mata? In case you need help saying it. But generally speaking, I always just end with gratitude because I'm thankful to even be in this position in the first place. I know that so it could have been anybody. It didn't have to be me. And so I'm thankful, man. Thanks for all the support. Keep buying this shit. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's divine timing. It was
Yeah.
supposed to be you. If no one
Hmm.
else, why not you? So hell, I appreciate it. I know my listeners are going to be really excited. You're definitely a name that people are going to recognize.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to provide some insight on you and your journey and everything you've been through. And everybody, please stay tuned and look for these beverages.
Yes.
If not for yourself, man, help out your neighbor. Show them that this stuff's cool, it's fine, and alcohol doesn't have to be the answer all the time. You know what I'm saying? Cool. All right.
But a cake, not for
Yo,
kids.